Hi, I'm Jeff Everidge, the founder of Trident Proposal Management.
I'm Kathy Borkowski, Vice President of Trident Proposals.
We're going to talk about 7 deadly sins. These are the things you want to avoid when you're writing your proposal at all costs. The first one is ignoring your customer's requirement. I'm assuming that you've done capture. Maybe you've spent 2 years doing capture work. You know your customer, you know their requirements, you know what their hot buttons are, the things you have to say, you know what their pain points are, you know what the things you want to avoid, we call them third rails. You know all those things, you know what the customer really needs. Put that in the document. It's super important. And why do people ignore it? Because they go diving right into just speaking to the specific parts of the RFP, and they don't give it color and give it and produce that relationship of showing that you know the customer, you know their requirements, you know what's at issue. This is something that's really important because if you don't put in the customer requirements of these important topics, well, you come off really flat and you come off not knowing them. And who wants to hire somebody that doesn't know them and what's important to them?
The next thing we see a lot is bragging. And everyone's like, I would never brag. Anytime you say that you are exceptional, you are the best, you are the most amazing person at what you do, you're bragging because
Hey,
you haven't.
Kathy, we're highly effective.
Heck yeah, we're highly effective. Oh, and we know how to leverage technology, and we know how to use a lot of other unsubstantiated claims. Now, the key here to not bragging is yes, you can say you're great at what you're doing, but then back it up. Use evidence.
Now, the next deadly sin is writing what you think the government wants and not what the government's asked for. This is really important, and this speaks to being compliant and easily gradable. The fact is that the government's asking for specific things that they want you to answer, and you may know that they need something else. Like, you could be sure of it. You might be able to color that in the sections, but you better answer what they want specifically. If you don't, you're not compliant and they can throw your proposal out before you even get a chance to compete.
The next thing is a lot of government contracting officers we've talked to is like, sometimes people are afraid to ask questions. Yes, there's human beings behind these RFPs that are being released. There's going to be conflicting guidance. So ask the questions, get the clarity. It's all anonymous anyway. Like once you see the questions on the list boards, you'll see, oh, literally almost any company could have asked that because you're basically saying, hey, can you deconflict this for me? Thank you very much.
Yeah, and we just talked to one of our customers, biggest customer, their small business office, and the small business office said that themselves. They said, questions help us produce a better RFP. We know we make mistakes. We're hoping that people will point them out so that we can make the changes we need so that it's easier for them to determine a winner. The next thing you want to avoid, and this is something that unfortunately we see quite a bit, is that you forget that a human being is actually reading your proposal. And you start writing as if it's mechanically going to be checked off. The point is that you've got to write in a way that is engaging and compelling and that it's easy to grade and is basically formatted for someone that's super busy and just wants to get done as quickly as possible. Don't assume that they're going to spend a ton of time with it. Assume instead that you need to engage them quickly, you need to get them to a satisfactory and then an outstanding grade as fast as possible so that they can stop grading as quickly as possible. You don't want them dwelling on your document.
And the human point's a really good one. So a lot of the times, this stuff is complicated. And so we'll write these hugely long sentences, and our subjects and verbs will be separated with a list in the middle. Make it easy. Make your sentence structure, keep it as short as possible, and get to the point quickly.
Yeah, and so that brings us to something that happens that it's really, I don't know why people do it, but they still do it, and they think that they're producing a compliant proposal by doing it, and they copy sections of the RFP, like actually the language in the statement of work or the performance work statement, they put it in their RFP, and they'll say something like, we will do this.
Or we understand this. And everyone thinks that that's needed because a lot of the times the government will actually put in their RFP, you have to address everything. And you have to address all areas of our PWS. But what they're not asking for is a parrot back. And the way you avoid the parrot back is you read the PWS, you use the sort of keywords and the general gist, but then you add your own process, how you actually do it, on top of what they're asking for the work.
Yeah, and then you throw in where you've done it before and high impact statements that have specific results that you've gotten. Now finally, and I think all the previous ones lead up to this one because they're part of it, is Write in a vague and unsubstantiated way. Now, that could look a lot of different ways. One of them is what we just said, where you copy PWS sections and you put it in without adding any color, any specifics, any impact, any past performance to back it up. What are some other ways that people are vague and unsubstantiated?
We actually had a contracting officer tell us a pretty funny story. He goes, yeah, I once got a response from a source of SOT where a company said, yes, we can do that. Vague and unsubstantiated. Now, the important thing, a lot of folks will then, what do I write? Pretend you're having a conversation with the technical POC, with the contracting officer. If I were to ask you, hey, how do you do this? I'll tell you, I do this, I do that, and then I do this, and this is the next step, and you need to put all that detail into your response.
Yeah, be detailed, be specific, be high impact, be relevant, hit their requirements, know their pain points. This is all information that keeps you from being vague and unsubstantiated. All right, those are the 7 deadly sins when you're writing a proposal. Avoid them and you're well on your way to writing a great proposal. We're Trident Proposal Management.
Subscribe to our channel, sign up for our newsletter, and we'll make sure you get articles and videos that are relevant to you and will help you improve your proposals.
And play to win your next government proposal.